Hello and welcome to the channel. For today's tutorial, I'll be sharing with you how to sew a milkmaid top. So if it's your first time viewing my channel, please like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to turn on the notification button to get new updates from my channel. So here are my patterns that I have already cut out. So if you haven't seen the video where I drafted this, please go watch it in my previous video. So this is my sleeve and I'm going to keep this aside. Then I'm going to go over to my pattern. This is my front pattern and I added ½ inch round and I didn't add at the side. I also added ½ inch here and ½ inch in front because I'm going to join this. You can as well cut yours together without joining the center. I feel it's more easy that way. So next I'm just going to unpin my pattern from my fabric. So this is what I have. I'm going to join it this way for the center piece. Like I said, you can cut your center piece at once without joining it. Next I'm going to flip open the other pattern and I'm going to place it just to show you how it will look like. So this is it. After you're done joining it, this is what you're going to have for the front piece. So I'm just going to put this aside. Then going over to the back pattern, this is what I have and I'm just going to unpin my pattern. After unpinning my pattern, this is what I have. So I added ½ inch for joining at the center. So this is how it's going to look when you place it. So you're going to place it this way and you're going to join with half. So whatever I'm doing on my fabric, I'm also going to do that to my lining. Then this is my cup. I'm going to unpin my pattern and I will show you what I have at the cup area. After unpinning my pattern, this is what I have. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to fold this. I'm going to fold it with a pinch and half because I'll be passing a strip of fabric through it. And then at the other end, I'm just going to fold it with also a pinch and half. And I'm going to run a gather stitch at this point. So I'll be doing it to the two sides of the cup. So this is it. I'm done joining and this is what I have. For the back, this is what I have. So I'll go ahead and I'll flip it open to show you. So this is what I have after joining my pattern for the back. Going over to the front, this is what I have. I'm done joining my front. So like I said, for your center piece, you can just cut it on fold to avoid. So just like what I said, whatever you do to your main fabric, you're also going to do to your lining to avoid joining at the center of the fabric. So for the cup side of the dress, just like I explained earlier, I'm going to fold the upper part with half a pinch and half or half and half because I'm going to be passing a loop through it. So afterwards, the next thing you're going to do is to create a strip or a rope with a fabric that you'll be passing through the cup part of your dress. So I went ahead to cut out 1.5 inches and I'm going to fold it with half and half. So right now you can decide to sew on the wrong side and flip it out, or on the right side you can just fold in ½ inch with ½ inch and you're going to top stitch on top. I've gone over to the machine and I've sewed the strip or the rope for the cup part and this is what I have. And I've also sewed the ½ inch at the cup area. So the next thing you're going to do is to pass the rope or insert the rope through the space you've created or channel you've created on the cup on top. So you're going to pass your safety pin and you're going to push it to get to the end of the cup on the other side. So if you find this tutorial very interesting and educative, please hit on the subscribe button give this video a thumbs up, and for my returning subscriber, thank you for always watching my video. Don't forget to leave your comments at the comment section, and also hit on the notification button to get updates from my channel. So I'm done passing the rope to the end. At this part, you're just going to top stitch it to hold down the rope. So after doing this, you're going to do for the other side also. So I'm done passing for the other side also, and I went ahead to top stitch it, and this is what I have. So by the time you drag it, you're going to have this effect at the cup side. So after doing that, next thing, you're going to sew a gather stitch from that point, and you're going to take it down to this point. After sewing the gather stitch, you're going to sew it or join it to the body of the dress. So you're going to sew it until it gets to this point, and you're not going to attach this part that has the armhole on it. So I'm done sewing the gather stitch on the other side and on this side too. So I drag the other side to give it a gathers effect. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to take this, and from this point I'm also going to pin it to my cup. So while pinning, make sure the part that has the armhole is not included. You're going to start at this point. So next, I'm going to take my pin and I'm going to pin the cup side directly on the fabric. So watch me while I do it so that you won't get confused while pinning yours. So I'm done pinning at this side, and this is what I have. This is how it's meant to look like. So if you drag it, you're going to get this effect at the cup side. So moving over, I'm also going to do the same thing to this part of the cup. So I'm done attaching the both sides. This is what I have. So I also went ahead to join it on the machine. So when you drag the cup area, you'll be having this effect. So next thing I'm going to do is to attach my lining to my dress. So to attach your lining, you're going to flip it to the wrong side, and you're going to place the right side of the lining on it this way. So after doing that, the next thing you're going to do right now is to flip it to the other side. So you're going to take your pin and you're going to join it. So while joining it, you're going to join it on that ½ inch that you used to attach the cup to the dress, so that by the time you're done sewing it, the inseam sewing won't be showing. So after pinning, I'm going to flip it to the other side, and this is what I have. If you notice, it's going to be very neat. So after doing this, you're also going to do this for the other side of the cup also. So I've gone over to the sewing machine and I sewed it. So this is what I have. As you can see, it's looking neat. After joining the upper part of the cup, the next is to join the body, and you're going to flip it this way and then fold in the material inside. So at this point, you're just going to hold this down with a pin, and you're going to pin on this side. After pinning that side, you're also going to pin the lower part. So while joining your lining to your material, make sure it aligns. If you have any excess on the lining, it's best to trim it off. So I'll also go over to the other side and I'll be pinning. So while pinning, I'm not going to pin the opening at the armhole side. So I'm done pinning, and I pinned around the dress this way. So getting to this upper part, just like I said, I left the armhole area because I'll be turning my dress from that part. On the other side also, I also left the armhole area open. Just like I said, you'll be turning it open with that part. So going to the back pattern, I'm just going to bring it this way. So whatever I did to the back pattern, I also did it to the lining. So I'm going to place my lining this way and I'm going to sew. I will sew around the neckline, the zipper part and below. So I'll be turning it open from the armhole side. So here my pattern, I've gone ahead and I've sewed it and I also notched it. So the next thing you're going to do right now is to flip it open from the armhole parts for the back pattern. So after turning this side, I'm also going to turn the other side of the back pattern. But for now, I'm going to keep it aside and I'm going to be working on the front part. So from that armhole part, I'm just going to flip it open. So this might be a bit difficult for you, but gradually you're going to turn it open. After turning it to the right side, this is what I have. So after turning it, this is what I have at this part. As you can see, it is looking neat and the inside also. So I'm going to give it a good press so that the fabric is going to relax very well. So these are my pattern after I'm done turning it. As you can see, it's looking nice and I've also gone ahead to iron it. So next thing I'm going to do right now is to add zipper to the back. So I've gone ahead and I've attached my zip. This is what I have. As you can see, my dress is almost ready. So I'm also going to flip it to the front to show you how the dress is also. So from here, I'll be attaching the sleeve. So going over to my sleeve. So for my sleeve, what I'm going to do next is to take my tape and I'm going to get the measurement from my shoulder to my elbow and I'm going to mark. So I'm going to make the mark from the closed part of the sleeve to the open part of the sleeve. I'm also going to flip the sleeve to the other part and I'm going to place my tape also and I'm going to get from my shoulder to my elbow. So the reason why we are drawing this line is to know where to insert your elastic band to the sleeve. So from there, moving to the lower part of the dress, I'm just going to place my tape and I'll measure around 5 inches and I'm going to mark it also. I'll extend the line from the closed part to the open part of the sleeve. After marking this part, I'm also going to flip it to the other side and I'm going to place my tape also and I'm going to mark 5 inches upwards and then extend the line. So after drawing the line, I'm just going to flip it open for proper explanation. So I cut out my elastic band. I cut out 8 inches for this part. So while sewing, you're just going to place it on that line you marked and you're going to drag your elastic and sew. And you're going to create this ruffle at this part of the sleeve. Going down to the lower part, I also cut 8 inches and you're also going to drag it while sewing and you're going to have that effect. So I'll go ahead and I will fold my pattern back. First thing I'm going to do is to get my dress and I'm going to measure the armhole area. So whatever I have at my armhole, I'm going to add ½ inch to it. So after doing that measurement at my armhole, I'm just going to place it at this part of my sleeve and I'm going to mark. So this is to get the part of the armhole that is meant to stay on the armhole part so that the other part of the sleeve is going to hang on your shoulder. So after doing that, the next thing I'm going to do is to make a tiny notch on that part. Next thing I'll do is to flip my pattern open this way. So next thing you're going to do is to get your bias. From that notched part, you're going to attach bias to that part. Next, you're going to take your bias this way and you're going to sew on that part. So after sewing this way around it to the notch part, from the notch part to the other end of the notch part, you're going to flip it to the back to create a channel, because you're going to pass an elastic from that channel. So before I attach my bias and elastic through that shoulder part, I'm just going to trim it off a bit to remove that curvy part. So I've gone ahead and I traced the other part. So what I'm going to do is just to place it on top so that I'll have the exact thing at the both shoulders. So after doing this, I'll go ahead and I'll attach my bias and elastic to the sleeve. So I'll also notch that notch part very well because I trimmed it out a bit. So I've gone ahead and I've sewed the bias at this part. So what you're going to do is to pass your elastic thread, and at the lower part also I attached the elastic. So for the elastic for the shoulder, you're going to use 9 inches for it to accommodate to your shoulder. So I'm just going to show you how I sewed the elastic. So this is for the middle or the elbow. So you're going to sew, and then you're going to drag your material and you're going to sew, and you drag the elastic and you're going to sew also. So you're going to do this to the end of the fabric. So after sewing my sleeve for the both side, this is what I have. As you can see, it's looking very nice and good. So I haven't yet inserted my elastic, so I'm just going to insert it to the elastic casing that I made for it. So after inserting my elastic, this is what I have. As you can see, that part is looking nice and stretchy right now. So I also inserted elastic to the other side also. So next thing you're going to do is to attach your sleeve to your dress. So you're going to take your sleeve, starting from that part where the elastic ended. You're just going to pin it from there to the end of your armhole. So after pinning down the sleeve, this is what I have. I'm going to flip it to the other side and I will pin it to the back armhole also. So from where the bias stopped, I'm going to pin it to where the armhole started, just like this. So I'm going to pin it all the way down. After pinning that, I'm just going to go over to the sewing machine and I'm going to attach my sleeve. So after attaching this sleeve on this part, I'm also going to do the same thing to the other part of the sleeve, and I'm going to sew. I'm done joining my sleeve and this is what I have. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to shape the top. To shape the top, I'm going to flip it to the wrong side of the dress. I'm going to adjust the dress very well so that each part or each point will be meeting. After that, I'm going to take my pin and I'm going to pin it down. After pinning it down, I'll go ahead and I will insert my measurements. Before inserting my measurement, I'm also going to pin down the sleeve. So I'm going to make sure the elastic where I inserted the elastic meets, and I'm going to pin it down. So after pinning it down, I'll go down to the second part also where I pin the elastic, and I'll make sure I pin it down so that the part where I inserted the elastic is going to meet at both ends. So after doing this to this sleeve, I'm also going to do that to the next sleeve. So next I'm going to bring my tape and I'm going to place the tape at my under bust. So I'll place the under my shoulder to under bust measurement at that point and to indicate where my under bust is, and after that I'm going to mark my waist. So my waist is just 1 inch from the top length. So there are two ways of shaping this. One is getting your body circumference and inserting it. Then the other one is, since I added 1.5 inches sewing allowance, then when I was sewing it, I turned over with ½ inch at both sides. So what I'm left with is 1 inch. So I'll just go ahead and I'll mark 1 inch at that end. At the other end also, I'm going to place my tape and I will mark 1 inch. After marking the 1 inch, I'm just going to join all the lines together. So I'm going to extend it to my armhole. Coming over to the sleeve part, I'm just going to shape with 1 inch if you want your sleeve to be tight at the elastic band area. But if you don't want it to be that tight, you can just shape with ½ inch. So with that, I'm done and I'll go ahead and shape it. So this is what I have after shaping the dress. If you find this tutorial very interesting and educative, please like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to turn on the notification button for my channel to get new updates whenever I post.